Hello, and welcome to the video. Today, we get to talk about a movie that consistently makes me weep in my seat every time I watch it. From its stunning visuals to its heartwarming story, this movie is definitely one of my favorites, if not my all-time favorite movie. This video is filled with spoilers, so please, I cannot recommend enough to watch this movie first before watching this video. Unless you're my professor, then please watch this video regardless. Released on August 19th, 2016, Kubo and the Two Strings is an American stop-motion animated film from Studio LAIKA, based in Portland, Oregon. They're best known for their movies Coraline 2009 and The Missing Link 2019. The film Kubo is an original tale based on mythology of early feudal era of Japan. Kubo and the Two Strings was directed by Travis Knight, and the story was written by Shannon Tyndall and Mark Hames. The art director was Alice Bird, and the cinematographer was Frank Passingham. Assuming you haven't seen the movie, here's a quick summary. The movie opens with Kubo's mother escaping her father, the Moon King, with her infant son. Although they both survive, the event results in the death of Kubo's father, a severe head injury to his mother, and the Moon King successfully stealing one of Kubo's eyes. Cut to 12 years later, Kubo lives a quiet life with his mother near a small town where he works as a street performer. He tells stories about the adventures of his late father Hanzo through his magic shamisen, or guitar, and his origami. We learn that his mother tells him the stories of Hanzo, but she seems to be becoming more and more catatonic each day, losing more of her memories. She repeats 3 rules to Kubo. He must keep a wooden monkey charm with him at all times, always wear his father's robes, and never stay out after dark. However, one day, Kubo stays out past sunset, despite his mother's ominous warnings, allowing his evil aunts and grandfather to track down and attack him and his mother. Kubo's mother uses the last of her magic to bring his monkey charm to life, stall his aunts, and send Kubo to safety. He grabs a strand of her hair before he's sent away. After his mother's sacrifice, Kubo gains the aid of a stern, now full-sized monkey and an amnesiac beetle man to find his father's magic armor and defeat his evil grandfather, the Moon King. On their quest, the 3 heroes encounter a sea monster that reveals secrets to whoever stares into their giant eyes. So Kubo learns the secret identity of his monkey mentor. She's his mother! Beetle fights the sea monster while Monkey fends off a surprise attack from one of the evil ants. After both are defeated, Kubo rejoices in reuniting with his mother, as well as questions her about her family. Monkey explains how she fell in love with Hanzo to the dismay of her father, who wants everyone in his family to be detached from emotions and blind to humanity. As their journey continues, the heroes are jumped by another ant who reveals she stole Hanzo's memories and turned him into Beetle. Kubo defeats the second ant with his shamisen, but both Monkey and Beetle die in combat. He has lost both his parents for a second time. Kubo returns to his home village where the last piece of magical armor resides. The Moon King confronts Kubo. However, instead of defeating his grandfather with the armor, Kubo uses the shamisen guitar strung with his father's bowstring, his mother's hair strand, and a hair strand of his own to defeat the Moon King. His grandfather's memories disappear, and Kubo promises to tell him new stories to give his grandfather new memories. This story places an emphasis on deeper and sadder topics being presented to children in the audience. In recent years, a pushback on children's entertainment has occurred within larger companies. Driven by money, they aim to create the most sanitized versions of stories, as well as reusing old stories, whether it be sequels or remakes. The biggest example being Disney's rampage of live-action remakes. On top of that, there are countless sequels to franchises being pumped out by Disney, Universal, DreamWorks, and many more companies. People are falling for it because to them it's safer. Safer for both the families trying to entertain their children and for corporations who are looking for another box office hit. The idea of boring, uninteresting safety versus the joys and horrors of originality mirror both the production of Kubo and the Two Strings as well as the plot's main message. Adults forcing their morals could be for the safety of their children, but it ultimately stifles the creativity and joy of children and the future generations. They need to allow new and challenging situations and stories to be explored to continue society's growth. This movie cleverly weaves common fairy tale tropes to present some criticisms to parents in a familiar and lighthearted tone. This movie is a modern version of a fairy tale, as it possesses many of the genre conventions of a classic fairy tale, but with more updated, politically correct perspective that movie creators have adapted over the centuries. Kubo follows the rule of threes. There are 3 main characters, 3 strings on the shamisen, and those are the 2 main groups of 3 I will be focusing on. Each string on the shamisen represents the 3 main protagonists: Monkey, aka Kubo's mom, Beetle, aka Kubo's father, and 1 to represent Kubo himself. In stories, the number 3 is used to represent completeness, as well as the past, present, and future. This applies to the family because without knowing it, they were brought together and completed. Kubo's mother represents the past, as she's constantly being chased by the family she left behind in the heavens. Even in her human form, while she slowly loses her memories, she is still haunted by her past in her nightmares. On top of that, Kubo's mom is a storyteller, always trying to recall a tale to tell her son about his father Hanzo. Kubo's father, Hanzo, represents the present. With all his memories lost, all he can do is live in the moment. His short-sightedness can lead him to being extremely clueless. However, it also allows him to be very genuine and charismatic. Kubo represents the future. After his parents die for a second time, he realizes it's up to him to keep their stories alive. He hopes to move to the future full of hope and understanding, despite knowing the sorrow and pain that comes with life. Kubo defeats his grandfather with these united principles fueling his shamisen, moving towards a brighter future, enjoying the current moments with your loved ones, and keeping the stories of their past alive are true immortality. The grandfather is a stand-in for people who refuse to see new perspectives and understand the needs of children. Adults who push their ideals onto their children in an unhealthy manner usually have intentions that this is for the greater good of their child. In Kubo and the 2 Strings, the Moon King thinks his morals are the best, but he fails to step back and look at the harm he's causing his family, since he never understands the perspective of his daughter or Kubo. The channel Cinema Therapy brings up very interesting points during the scene where Monkey reveals her father's viewpoint.
Why does grandfather hate me?
Oh, Kubo. He doesn't hate you. He wants to make you just like him, blind to humanity, as I once was. Only then can you take your place beside him as part of his family, cold and hard and perfect.
I'll never be like him. Never.
I know.
I love the question. It's so childlike. Like, why does grandfather hate me?
Yeah.
And that's because, family expectations can be traumatizing. Like, if they don't line up with not even who you want to be, but if family expectations just don't line up at all with who you are, then, that can be absolutely horrible. And it's usually not coming from a malicious place.
Yeah. Monkey accurately observes Grandpa doesn't hate you. He just wants you to be like him, blind to humanity. And the issue with Grandpa, I love that wording, is that the people who hurt us, there are times that they are malicious, evil monsters. Like, those people do exist.
Sure.
More often, it's people who are blind. Not literally, but blind to what they are doing, the effect it is having. Or they see the pain, but they figure it's worth it because they're so sure of their position. And they're so sure that this is
the right way. And if you don't do it this way, it's going to cause you more pain in the long run or whatever.
Right. Yeah. And so Grandpa thinks he's helping. Grandpa thinks if you can be like me, then you can be cold and detached. And if you're cold and detached, then you don't feel the pain that the world feels. But then, of course, you also don't feel the connection and the warmth that the world feels. And you do atrocious things without realizing just how atrocious they are and how much pain they're causing. And Kubo, even at a very young age, in large part because of the influence of his mother, knows who he is and who he wants to be. And even more importantly, he knows who he's not.
The greater good mentality of the grandfather causes him to hurt those he cares about the most because he believes he has to be absolutely correct. This scene is mostly a wide shot to reflect the unity of the family. It includes all the characters in this scene. Monkey is the center of the shot, showing how she is the focus of the scene right now. The stop-motion animation adds a handcrafted quality to the movie, allowing the themes of comfort and family to shine through, especially in this scene. The low firelight is meant to add a tender and earnest tone, representing how Monkey understands the perspectives of both her son and her father. This scene portrays Monkey's parenting style as better suited for Kubo than his grandfather's. Monkey had allowed Kubo to face danger and stayed by his side, guiding him through their journey. Even though she can empathize with her father's sentiments, Monkey knows that his tyrannical parenting style ultimately destroyed the family. This connects back to the argument that parents are driving the sanitization of children's media and forcing their ideas to the detriment of their children and to themselves. The grandfather's ironclad rule kept his daughters safe from physical harm, except they never truly had freedom. Just like how complete control or censorship of media for kids prevents them from properly developing their minds and emotions. Another scene that shows the Moon King's ideology is during the final confrontation.
As long as you cling to that silly, useless eye, you can't come up to live with me in the heavens. You'll be stuck down here in this hell, staring with that lonely eye at hate and heartache and suffering and death. Where I want to take you, we have none of those things. It'll just be you with your family, where you belong.
My family is gone. You killed them.
No. They brought their fates upon themselves. They disgraced me and upset the order of everything.
That's how your story goes.
Oh, Kubo. When you're up there with me, you will be beyond stories. You will be immortal. You will be infinite.
No, you're wrong. Not infinite. All stories have an end.
Is that right? And how does this story end?
I kill you.
Very well. Is this your wish? To do battle with a hideous monster who ruined your life? To prove your worth like your doomed father? How mortal.
He thinks that feeling detached from reality is the best way to live. It is immortality. But by hiding from the suffering of reality, he fails to see the joy of life. He is blind to humanity and possible new perspectives. Unlike Kubo and his parents, he's both literally and figuratively blind. This clashing worldview comes from the need for control. The Moon King desperately wants to be in control of every aspect of his existence, as well as control his daughters and grandson. In this scene, the grandfather paces back and forth to add to the scary, beast-like actions of the Moon King. He is trying to both physically and mentally corner Kubo. Even his design resembles a prehistoric fish, the Dunkleosteus, to represent how his viewpoint is outdated for the newer generations. This includes his daughter and his grandson. This scene reinforces the idea that the Moon King's character is used to criticize overprotective parents. The grandfather is still trying to dictate Kubo's life to protect him, while at the same time he is literally killing Kubo. A few seconds later in that same scene, the Moon King is shown clutching and suffocating Kubo.
You want to be human? Then share their weakness. Suffer their humiliation.
This is similar to how parents figuratively smother their children to stifle their growth. The turning point of this battle happens when Kubo discards the armor and sword in favor of his guitar. The shamisen, with Kubo's 3 family strings, defeats the Moon King. It was the importance of his family that defeated the grandfather's harmful beliefs and acted as the real savior of the story. Kubo had used all he learned from his parents, who gave him the freedom to blossom into the individual he wanted to be. This adds weight to the conclusion of the fight between Kubo and his grandfather. The movie concludes with the Moon King surviving the battle, and he is able to start over with no memories. He now has one eye, the opposite eye that Kubo has. This shows that Kubo was able to give half of his vision to his grandfather. The Moon King now bears the new perspective of his grandson. Kubo will be the one to show him the wonders of life and humanity through his stories, just like how his mother did for him. There's a hopeful message for people who have caused pain to others. They can still restart and update their viewpoints to benefit their loved ones. All in all, Kubo and the Two Strings is a thoughtfully constructive narrative with careful attention to artistic details of animation. It uses its fantastical setting and familiar storytelling beats found in fairy tales to ease audiences into its messaging. It begs parents to question their parenting style and means of control over their children. The movie presents ideas of dangers and joys of experimental media to enrich the next generation, as well as cautions us over tyrannical safety that stifles our growth as a society. So give these new and original tales a chance before writing them off. Thank you so much for watching my video. I hope you learned something new and interesting about Kubo and the Two Strings, my favorite movie ever, and have a lovely day.